Well, how was your experience, Sharon?
Well, as usual, I tend to have these small vignettes that are just rolling, and I can't remember any of them. But I did hear some outside noise in the background. I can't, like, one of them, for lack of a better word, kind of like a droning noise. I heard a noise that was kind of long. And I think I heard possibly voices, but I couldn't understand anything. It was just, I heard a little bit of that. Birds, of course, and I heard in one noise in the beginning though, that I thought was a different kind of bird. That was like probably a bigger bird that had a bigger voice, a bigger call, and it wasn't like the tweeting of all of those birds. It was a sharper, shrill kind of, like maybe not like a crow, but you know what I mean, like something like that, that made a bigger noise in the early part. So.
No, I think I'm gonna look for some different background music. You people are too hung up on birds,
It's really
trying to
loud.
figure out what they are.
Well, it was just a different noise. I mean, you kind of get lulled, the birdie front
It
noise.
sounded like a frog to me.
Oh, okay, Well, it's the lulling. I mean, the tweeting voice is very, to me, it just is very, it just kind of makes me kind of want to go to sleep. But when you hear something different, all I can think of is like you're outdoors, you're in a garden, you're in a wooded area, because I mean, there's water. I think there's some water running in there too at some point, but you hear these. And when you hear something that isn't like that, it tends to catch my attention. So I don't know if it was a bird or not. It was just a louder, and that humming was definitely not a bird. That noise was something else. So but it was in the background.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna find something else besides birds. I don't know what it is with you people and birds.
They're communicating. It's a form of communication.
Well, of course,
True.
but you're all trying to understand what the birds are saying to each other.
Nature. Want to learn, just go watch nature. Go be in nature if you want to learn. Don't you say that.
I'm gonna say,
Frequently.
yeah, nature is the
And if
guide.
you do it if you try to hit insects, we're gonna do the same thing. Oh, that's a cicada. Oh, no, that's a grasshopper. That's a cricket.
Dogs.
You know, that's an Afghan, or that's a beagle.
The other thing I thought about was like, it's almost like if it's a bird sanctuary. Since they're so concentrated, the sound is so concentrated, like they're all together, or like they're in a
Like an
arboretum.
aviary.
Yes, or they're in a, like a botanical garden or something where they actually have birds living in them. That's what I think of because they're so concentrated. I don't think I would hear them that well in nature. If I was just sitting in the woods, I'll hear birds, but they're not gonna feel like they're right there.
Whales,
Whales,
that's it, whales.
okay.
Oh, they're talking too.
Well,
Sure, they're communicating.
anything that makes noise, I mean, you keep that up and I'll just get a recording of the fan.
That either, we probably hear something behind that too, are you kidding?
Well, you're supposed to hear something behind all of that.
Yeah.
You are, because the whole purpose of meditation is exploration, to develop your awareness. So yeah, you're supposed to, but you're not supposed to. Well, we'll get into that in a little bit. How about you, Sandy? How was your experience? Did you get hung up on the birds too?
What? Well, I don't know. I don't know if I was hung up. I mean, they were very concentrated at first, then they became less concentrated. And then all of a sudden you heard water like it was the shore. To me, it sounded like the lapping of water on the shore. And that was like the last 25% of it, maybe. And I thought I even heard some bees humming. But I was having a little trouble focusing today, which has nothing to do with the class. But it was restful. It just was very restful. But I didn't have any, specific experiences. But I did, before that sound where it does sound like people talking, I heard a chuckle, a giggle. It sounded like a small child, just a little giggle. And it just did sound like a little child's giggle. So, but that was, that was pretty much it. But it was restful. It needed it to be restful.
Good. That's what it's supposed to be, is restful.
Okay.
So, how about you, Shay? How was your experience?
Not at all restful. The birds are so loud and the water coming in at that odd point, and I think for me, I'm used to meditating with the water sound in the background as the prominent sound, and it's just a continuous sound. And then maybe some birds come like, so I kind of escaped to the river, St. Joe River, and imagined myself at the falls. And I didn't really get like any. I got peaceful, that's true.
That's what you're supposed to get.
Yeah, but it was disconnecting from it all that made it.
Well,
peaceful, but-
we're gonna talk about that,
Okay,
because this section is on meditation. And it's broken up, as you could tell, there's a lot of pages there.
Yeah.
So that's good. And you, Beth?
Okay, well, I mentioned with my eyes open, and so that helped with the birds in the background, but for me, what I imagined was being in a rainforest is what images came up. And various birds, and then what you all heard is water. I heard the wind through the tree canopy,
cool.
because it was not as rhythmic as waves on the shore. What's the ocean doing in the rainforest? Okay. But I was watching Buddha statue, and I was really I focused my breath, and then I was focusing on the image, and I was watching the biosphere change in intensity with brightness. And up, and then it came down. So I was wondering if that was associated with the changes in the tone, the
Could be.
tonal frequencies, the intensity. Because, for a while, it's almost like there was a flashlight behind it. It was so bright. But again, it was only for a few seconds. Increase, then a decrease. And it was very peaceful. I was serene. Felt serene.
Good. Good. We will be doing some visualization, but that's in the next section.
We're so advanced.
But that's good. Yes, you are so advanced. I should be the student and you should be up here teaching me. No? All right, so. Any questions? Any comments?
Try babbling brook sounds.
Huh?
Then we all forget to go to babbling.
That is true.
Babbling brook.
What'd you say?
Babbling brook.
You're doing all that babbling there. I can't hear a word.
Those are nice.
Babbling brook, huh?
Streams,
Yeah.
gurgling water, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, white noise. That's what they call it. He dated someone who listened to white noise to sleep. And me being the type of person that I am, I couldn't sleep. Because I heard the pattern. And then it'd start over again. I could hear it when it started when it ended, and then started again.
Wow. Wow. They shouldn't do that. They should just have continuous.
Well, it's supposed to be continuous. It's a continuous loop. But still, there's a definite end and a definite beginning.
My grandson, they always had white noise for him when he was a baby. He didn't sleep for a night for the first 9 months. Over, he didn't sleep through the night.
You know, I hear a lot of mothers complain about that too.
They had to bring in somebody to help him.
Oh my God.
It's terrible. Well, but once he did, but now he listens to, well, the last time I was there, he listens to these meditations. They're kind of like meditations. And this woman who has this lovely voice, a bit British or something. And they talk about relaxation and restfulness, which is appropriate for a 9-year-old. And he listens to that when he goes to bed. He was, I don't know if he still is now, because it's been a year. And he didn't have it when we were on vacation, but when he's home. So she was just turning on this thing and I listened to it and I thought, gee, I should listen to this. I go to bed. I'd probably sleep better. I mean, and they were really nice, so.
You can find stuff like that on YouTube.
Yeah, I think that's where she found it. But the woman's voice was very soothing. It's nice. It's better now.
Oh, good,
It's good.
good. So tell me, what is meditation? Sandy?
Well, I would say a calming of the mind, to focus within.
Okay. Shay?
I don't know how to describe it. I go to a different place than
Okay, so is it an escape? Is
No,
it,
I intentionally go there to connect with spirit.
okay. So for you, it's a connection, we'll just leave it with the divine.
There we go.
Okay. And how about you, Beth?
That's the same. It's like I want to, focus my mind and just be aware and of spirit or spirit entities.
Okay, another connection with the divine. Sharon?
Kind of like what Sandy, I like what everybody said, but I like probably what Sandy said is probably more my connection with that. I was trying to turn off the noise,
Okay.
which is difficult.
So what would you say if I told you you were all wrong?
I was thinking you were probably gonna say that.
Would be surprised.
Well, that is typically how people teach meditations. It's to relax, it's to settle your mind and everything. But as a tool, meditation serves many roles. It's a path, it's a method, it's a way to get to somewhere that you want to go. Okay. But before you can get to somewhere, before you can get to your destination, you have to understand why it is that you want to get to that destination. And the way you discover why is that you use meditation to explore the one thing that you cannot find in a book.
Yourself.
Exactly. Yourself. And Shay was right. You can't really talk about meditation. Meditation can only be experienced. Anything that anybody writes about meditation is going to be just their opinion and their experience. That's it. That's all it's going to be, is their experience. However, it is an important tool for developing your spirituality. You know why that is? How many realities are there?
Infinite.
Well, you can go with infinite or you can keep it basic.
Hmm.
So let's stick with the basics here. Let's stick with you.
Me,
How many realities do you have?
I have at least two.
And they are.
They are the physical world, the mundane, and then they are the spiritual world. Well, the unexplainable, the arcane, the esoteric mind. It can't be the brain. The brain can't escape my
But
skull.
what uses the brain?
My mind,
Exactly. What is in the mind? What is the mind?
non-local. Me.
Yes. The mind is you. There are two realities. Each of us have two realities. There's the reality that's out here where everybody else exists, and then there is the reality inside you, in which only those who are invited exist. And meditation helps you to explore the inside reality. So there is the world you perceive, and then there is the world. Okay, what have I got here? There is the world you perceive, and then there is the world. Oh, I've got my stuff all screwed up here. I should put my glasses on, but then the words get blurry again. Anyway, so the mind has two positions. And those positions are looking out and looking in. When we are looking out, we are perceiving the environment as it appears. This is what is known as the common reality. And why is it common? What is this?
Matter.
Okay. What's it called?
Would.
Not wrong.
No, she's not wrong,
Somebody else to call, a lectern.
but I wasn't asking anybody in particular, but she likes to talk.
Talking to.
So what is this called?
Physical
What is this called?
lectern.
A lectern, yes. Is it a lectern, Shay?
Yes.
Is it a lectern, Beth?
Yes.
Well, I don't know if you can see this or not. No, I didn't
I'll
think
take your
so.
word for it.
All right. What are all of you sitting on?
Cheers.
There's
So you all agree that each of you are sitting on a chair. That is the common reality. It is the reality that each of you agree on. However, if someone is hallucinating, that external reality is no longer the common reality. Buddhists have a saying, it is that all of this is a dream reality. Does anybody know why it is a dream reality? They doesn't. Okay,
Well, because this is not real.
why is it not real?
I'm not Buddhist. I don't know if I can put it into words. It is a test tube that we're in to have experiences while we're here in this physical form. This is our reality. I could be someplace else as a plant. Because that was my decision. I need to learn that reality.
Okay. That would still be,
A physical reality, a dream, I've chosen it.
would be a dream.
I've chosen it.
You've chosen a dream. All right, all right. Anybody else care to go at this?
Muddle through.
I want each of you to look around and tell me what's missing. You can do the same, Sandy. Look around you and tell me what's missing. Because there's at least one item missing that you cannot see.
Can't see it, doesn't mean it's missing.
But it is missing in your common reality. It is missing. You know, there are times I get up and I'm looking out of this head and it feels like I'm in something else. I don't recognize what it is that I'm in. It's really a bizarre sensation. You ever watch Men in Black? It's a hilariously stupid comedy. And sometimes I need stupid comedy.
Mhm.
And that helps me. Well, in this one scene, there's this little guy who sits in the head of this full-size robot, and you've got all these levers and everything. So you can imagine what everything looks like when they're looking out. And sometimes that's what it feels like. But you know, I know it's an illusion. And the one thing that none of you can see in your common reality is yourself. It's a very simple concept. Complex, but simple. It didn't dawn on me until I was putting this together. The only reality where you can actually see yourself is your internal reality. That's why this reality is an illusion. Because you're part of it, but you're not part of it. I see my hands, I see my shirt, but I don't see me. I see parts of me, but I don't see me. Of course, I'm surprised Beth didn't say anything about a mirror. It's something I
That
would
would just be
expect her to say.
reflected.
Correct, that would
That's
just
my
be a
saying.
reflection. Very good.
You trying to set me up.
No, would I do that?
Yeah.
Oh. You have such high thoughts of me.
It's not-
It's a way to open up dialogue.
There you go.
Somebody's got to be the patsy.
So what are your thoughts about that? Does it make sense that the reality, what we call the common reality, is an illusion? Is a dream?
Yeah. Doesn't feel like it. Necessarily. but
Have you ever been slapped in a dream?
No, I
No?
don't think so.
Have you ever fallen down in a
I
dream?
have fallen in dreams.
Does it hurt?
No,
No? Do you feel anything?
it's a good question. No.
Do you still say, oh crap?
Well, I may not feel pain, but I feel fear,
Okay,
Mhm.
you know? I have jumped where think you're asleep and you startle. And or your leg jumps or something like that, and whoa, whatever. But fear, yeah, fear. Sad or something. Or nothing. You felt nothing. no feeling. Something that should have made me be upset or concerned, and I didn't feel anything. So I don't know what that all means necessarily, but
Here's something interesting that just came to me. Now, in our dreams, they say that in our dreams, we have the opportunity to work out problems,
mhm. Mhm.
or that our dreams is our brain trying to make sense of everything we experience during the day. That's in our dream. What is it that we do when we're awake? We solve problems. We try to make sense of everything that we're experiencing. Same thing we do in our dreams. So what would make the internal reality more real than the external reality? So when I say, see yourself well in our meditations and in our Sunday class, see yourself well for healing. Just see yourself well. Visualize yourself well. What do you see when you visualize that?
I see my younger self, like when I was at the peak of my fitness. And it's usually, the early to mid 30s. So yeah, that decade, the 30s decade, the 30 and 40, I was just peak. That's how I picture myself
Okay,
when I'm focused on healing, and it's the things that I could do during that age span.
and you actually see yourself.
I'm watching myself.
You're watching yourself.
Mhm.
You're observing yourself. Keep that thought. How about you, Shay? What do you see when I say visualize yourself as being well? See yourself as being well.
I think I live in my own illusions on a regular basis, and it's very easy for me to picture myself walking without tripping, walking without balance issues, and no blood pressure problems, no diabetes stuff, and I just see myself now, but whole.
But you see
Optimal
yourself.
health, visually see myself, yes.
Visually see yourself.
My physical stuff, yes.
That's cool. That's why that is your true reality, because you can see yourself. You know who you are. In this reality, you don't know who you are. I know I don't know who I am half the time. I ask myself these questions, Philip, why are you doing this? Sometimes I say, well, it seemed like a good idea at the time. Other times I say, well, what else are you going to do? And then other times I say, because I want to do it. There's nothing wrong with any of those answers. I know this sounds a bit confusing. So I want some input from you, because I tend to think up here, and I need all of you to help me reframe these things, these ideas, so that you can better understand them. That's just my nature. That's why my brothers don't care for me a whole lot. Because because they say I think I'm above them, because I'm thinking way up here, or I use these big words. I get complaints like that too. Why do you use such big words? I read too much. They use big words. So tell me what's going on in your mind right now.
I'm feeling frustrated.
Okay. Why?
I'm feeling frustrated because I don't. I'm not sure how to put this in words. I don't get where we're going today.
Okay.
And I wanna follow you. And I get that you operate up here. And I'm not sure where I'm operating from. But. I don't know, I'm not grasping where we're going.
Good, good. The idea of meditation is to explore yourself. That is the primary purpose of meditation, is to explore yourself. And in order to explore yourself, you have to know where you dwell. And what everybody says about you is not who you are, but it's what we take in. Because we don't know any better. It's what I do. I know better, and I still do it. But the idea with the meditation is to learn to observe yourself, to watch yourself. So if you can visualize yourself and see yourself, that's your ideal self. That is your reality. In which one of the things we try to learn to do, that I try to help you learn how to do, is to take that reality, that internal reality of how you see yourself, and project it outward. So that regardless of what anybody says about you, you know that that's your self. The only obligation you have is to apologize if they misunderstand you or if they perceive you differently. Okay, what's that look for?
Sorry.
I'm trying to get accustomed to your looks. No, don't apologize. Don't apologize. I'm trying to understand. Because the better I can understand, the more I can help you to understand.
So meditation is ultimately us projecting our ideal self outward
No.
for others, is that what you said?
No, meditation is to rediscover who you are. So you can project outwards who you are. You want people to know who you are, right?
Not necessarily.
Pearls before swine,
True.
as you are fond of saying.
No, you are fond of saying
Become
that.
one of my favorite.
I have
sayings.
said that, but that's
I
one of
know.
your favorite sayings.
No, it became a little, called a little record.
Little meme.
Little meme.
As long as you don't start saying, I'm a pepper, you're a pepper, wouldn't you want to be a pepper too?
So where does meditation, where are we going then with this training? Is it to do something in the outer world, or are we learning more about how to meditate today?
Learning more about what you're going to do with meditation. This whole section is about self-exploration.
And what works for me, it's not necessarily gonna work for you.
Right,
Exactly.
So we
Before-
all have our own recipe.
right.
Exactly. You have to discover your recipe, per se. You have to discover who you are before you can actually become what you want to become. I learned this the hard way. And I'm trying to help you learn this too without making the same mistakes I made. So you can make your own mistakes, but you have to learn who you are. A lot of what I talk about on Sunday, if it's not directly tied in with spiritualism, it's about my experiences of exploring who I am. One of those stories was talking to my demons, per se, and we'll cover that as well. But in this particular instance, I wrote a letter to myself because I can't really have a conversation with myself because I know what I'm going to say. And already I'm countering that and I'm countering that. And next thing you know, I just get up and walk away. So there are different ways of exploring stuff, but with meditation, you see a lot of stuff. You see a lot of stuff. And with meditation, the idea is not to empty your mind of thoughts. Your idea is to allow thoughts to come through your mind and to observe those thoughts. Observe those thoughts. And if you remember those thoughts, those images, when you are done with your meditation, that's what you write down. And that's what you try to make sense of. You can watch yourself doing something. When you have control over what comes into your mind, you can replay at will anything in your life, anything. We have a session periodically that we call baggage cleaning. Now, when I was cleaning some of my baggage, okay, I'm sitting in my meditation and I'm focusing on a time frame. And in this particular time frame, I am sitting in my front yard, our front yard. I was married at the time. I'm sitting in our front yard, as far away from the house as I can possibly get. And I'm crouched down. It's December. And this is when we had snow in December. So it's December, and I'm sitting there so confused. Why was I confused? I'm looking at myself sitting there. Why was I confused? And the reason why I was so confused is I did not know who I was. Literally. Grief can do some bizarre things to people, believe me. And this was one of those instances. My dad passed away when I was 13, just before I turned 14, so I stick with 13. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to handle that. My relatives are telling me one thing. One uncle comes up to me and says, "You're the man of the house now." Oh my God, I'm the man of the house. What's that mean? I didn't have enough sense to ask, what does that mean? I have enough sense to ask now what that means, and enough sense to say, shut your mouth, because you don't know what you're setting me up for. That's the worst thing you can tell a child, is that they are now an adult when they're not ready to be an adult, because in their minds, they're going to try to be the adult. I didn't know that. And this followed me throughout my entire life. Up until, I don't know, I was married a second time. Reading Brenda Davies, I should have brought that in too. Brenda Davies' book, The 7 Healing Chakras. The more you understand yourself, the more you're going to understand everybody else. I may have misinterpreted this, but for me, that is an important aspect of being spiritual, is to know who you are. And before you can accept who you are, you have to discover who you are. And that's what this meditation is all about, is discovering who you are. And we have to realize, well, I shouldn't say have to, it makes sense to realize that what everybody tells you about yourself is not true. Does that make sense? Is that helpful? Yes, no, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay, how is it helpful? testing you or anything,
No, I know,
or
I
making you
just,
frustrated. I
I
just
don't-
want to make sure you understand the importance. It's very important before you can actually go forward. You have to know where you've been.
I've spent my life doing that, so I'm not sure how to answer, because even with the allow thoughts and observe them and write them down, I do that. I've done it for most of my adult life since I've known how to, and then I go ahead and I do a reading with tarot cards, asking spirit, what is this? How do I group myself? How do I, so I don't know what to answer with. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
Okay, yeah, it does make sense. You do a lot of journaling, yes?
Yes.
Okay. I did that when I was going through horrendous periods in my life. I did a lot of journaling. And the idea behind journaling is you write down what you're experiencing, and then you look at it later, and then you try to make sense of it. And if you can't make sense of it, what do? You meditate on it. Because as you sit in meditation, you're going to get these distractions. But right now, we're just going to focus on allowing these images to come through without getting attached to them. That's the first thing we have to learn how to do. And then when you can sit and allow them to move through, then you can bring in those particular events that you want to examine at will. Does that make sense so far? No, I talk a lot up in the sky and everything, and I depend on you to ask me questions. I depend on you to say, Philip, what in the world are you talking about? I need that. Don't think you're interrupting my train of thought, because I'm off in la la land most of the time, just rambling on, and I need your assistance with that. So, and the handouts goes deeper into this. But for the most part, what people tell you is meditation is more relaxation than anything else. Because you're sitting there and you're trying to bring your heart rate down, you're trying to be calm and everything. And meditation can be very spiritual. And by spiritual, mystical. And when those events happen, I don't want you coming around and saying, wow, was I really there? Yes, you were really there. That really happened. Don't dismiss it. Whether it's something from a previous life or something from 20, 30 years ago, don't dismiss it. I've got a particular dream I'm trying to figure out. And in this particular dream, I'm at my grandmother's house. And I've got all these people. What are all these people doing in my grandmother's house? My uncle's supposed to be there. But why is he being lazy? He's the one in charge, but he's letting everything go to pot. And I've got this whole section of the garage. It's opened up, and I've got all these people down in what's supposed to be the foundation of the garage that are mingling about, drinking, carousing, that sort of thing, stuff that, I know this has got something to do with the foundation, but a foundation for what? I know it's something I'm supposed to pay attention to because it's my grandmother's house. I happen to have grown up in my grandmother's house. So when I see her house, I know it's her that's telling me, hey, pay attention. We've all got these little things. My dad brings in, when he pops in, he brings in this house in Eau Claire, altogether different. My mom pops in, she's still alive, by the way. She pops in. When she pops in, it's her house that I'm dreaming about. My exes, it's the same all over. There's something in these places about them that tells me who's bringing it in. we have these visualizations, not visualizations, visions while we are meditating, because we will, you will have these visions, and they can be breathtaking. They can just, whoa, they can do that. But the question comes to mind, is that you? Yes, that's you. The only thing is you don't know if that's what was you, what could be you, or someplace in between. But meditation helps you to make sense of that, because as the mind brings in these random thoughts, which will always happens when you're developing meditation as a tool, eventually those random thoughts come in a sense of order. And that's when you pay attention. Now, we're not going to be doing this long enough for you to get to that point, but I'm laying out the steps for you to get there. Yes,
Yes, I have a question. When you meditate, do you have or anyone, do you have a sequence of something, how you do it to get into the meditation quickly? Or does that make sense what I'm
I
asking?
know what you're asking. I know
Okay.
exactly what you're asking.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I don't know how to answer that, because I've reached a point to where it's like when we're doing Sunday's class, I can just put myself there.
And you're like,
Like,
that's
yeah,
impressive, I want to do that.
it takes a lot of practice, lots of practice. And I can give you some wonderful clues and everything, but I don't know, I might get in trouble for that one. But, if you could learn to do that, then life, your experience changes. It becomes, I don't know how to describe it, but the lotus. You've seen images of the lotus, yes? And when you read these Oriental philosophical esoteric books, they talk about the lotus representing life. Well, the books say it's because you stick it in mud, it comes through all this mud and everything to the top. However, my experience is that when you time it just right, and you're in a meditative state, or you could put yourself in a meditative state, you have something similar to an orgasm, and you see the universe exactly as a lotus, petal for petal, exactly as a lotus. Yes, you can get there, but it takes time, it takes practice. You have to learn what is a distraction in your meditation, what is not a distraction. And that's part of what we're doing. Breathing helps. When I started to meditate and I wanted to relax, I focused on a word. I said a word over and over again: relax, relax, relax. And when you hear yourself droning on like that, well, your voice gets kind of monotone in your head, and just kind of relax. And next thing you know, you're nodding off because you've become boring. But meditation is a method that gets you to the experience. That's the important thing to keep in mind. Meditation is a method that gets you to the experience. And it's your intention that determines your experience. Let me see here. Get out of that, move into something else. Meditation helps you learn to become aware, which is very, very important. Some of you have already reached that awareness. You hear stuff beneath the tones and the sounds and the video. You hear stuff beneath that. You're starting to become aware of stuff deeper within you. I don't know how long you've been practicing meditation, Shay, but I'm sure that during those practices, you've become aware of other aspects of yourself, deeper aspects. And this may be redundant to you for right now. I don't know. But meditation is awareness. It helps you to develop your awareness, to expand your awareness. And what we're going to do with our exercise is we will meditate with our eyes open. With no music. The fan will be on, the lights will be on. I'm gonna go back there and open the door up so a Harley may ride by.
It's not pouring in.
And you're going to have to not respond to that stimulus. You acknowledge it, and that's it. You don't respond to it. You don't do anything. I can meditate in the middle of a crowd with people all over. I can meditate in the middle of a bar. And you know how busy that is. That is where you should move towards. Because when you can do that, you can pretty much put yourself in a meditative state anytime. Do you have any questions, Sandy? I see a lot of thoughts going through your head there, and I don't want you to feel left out or anything.
Oh, I don't. I guess I had a few thoughts when you were talking about when people don't believe what people tell you you are, you're not, you know. And being a person who lives with depression, that's very hard, very, very hard to even come to terms with. But it made me remember in the brochure that we have about being spiritual beings having a human experience, and that just kept coming. That I think is a big aid to, it's an aid to meditation, because it puts you in, it takes you out of your humanness, I guess, to a better place when you're trying to meditate. So that always comes to mind when I would be meditating. And I do have trouble sometimes with meditation. So just have to keep focusing.
Well, part of this, we're gonna learn some tricks. Well, I wouldn't say tricks, but we're gonna learn ways to help with that. The
Good.
hardest with meditation that people typically tell you to do is to sit back, close your eyes, and relax. Okay, that type of meditation, and I'll probably talk more about it, maybe I'll just blow by it, but that type of meditation is very difficult to do. Because you have to focus on nothing.
Mhm.
And do you know how difficult it is to focus on nothing?
Mhm.
Me, being the way I am, I started it, right there. Oh, boy. Now, resting your eyes on something, with your meditating with your eyes open, resting your eyes on an object, helps you to develop your awareness to the point to where these distractions, these noises, are part of your environment. You just acknowledge and accept it. Now, your most difficult challenge is going to be overcoming your own anxiety.
Mhm.
That is something, all I can do is tell you is to just let go of it, release it. Don't try and stop it. Don't try and stop it. Allow it to move through you. That's the only thing you can do, is allow it to move through you. And if it doesn't work, don't worry about it. Because it didn't always work for me. It doesn't always work for me now. And I've been at this for, let me see here, 40 years, I think. So yeah, I still run into problems here and there. So don't worry about it. But that's your hardest challenge, is going to be letting go of these internal things that you've had to deal with throughout your entire life. That's going to be the hardest thing. But the thing to keep in mind is the only ones that reinforce that are from people that don't count.
Hmm.
And that, again, is another hard thing for us to realize, to accept. You know, when our parents tell us that we are worthless, we take that to heart. We own that. And now we have to learn to let go. They were wrong. What do you mean they were wrong? My parents are right on everything. They're boom, boom, boom. No, they're not. They were doing the best that they could with what they had. They were projecting their experiences onto us. You know how long it took me to accept that one? Let me tell you something. From the time I was 18, maybe 17, to the time I was 30, I had very little to do with my mother. Now I'm over there every 3 weeks. I call her on the phone in between. She comes to me for advice. You know, it's changed dramatically. But the only way that was able to change is because I changed. I changed what everybody was telling me. And I said, that is not me. And that's your hardest thing, is going to learn that all those things that people told you are not true. That's going to be your most difficult thing. Any comments or questions? Does it make sense so far? If I lost you earlier, I apologize. But I need feedback. That's what helps me. We are going to take a break. So stand up, stretch, walk around.